kid, I mean, he got out of the car and flopped on the ground, rolled around with his dad. And I thought, what? I mean, they partied. That was a heck of a celebration. It was cool. But
wasn't that his first career victory?
I don't know if it's his first. It's definitely his first win at Willamette. But, I mean, that kid is pretty good where he's from. He's got a good reputation as a hot shoe.
Oh, absolutely.
Late models. This was kind of cool. Blaine Taylor got the win. The 18 car.
Really?
Yeah, Blaine Taylor won.
Good for him.
Second was Curtis Towns.
How about that?
Fifth in the modified, second in the late model. Britton Donahue was third. Eric Luckman fourth. And Jim Whistler. Jim Whistler went to Grove.
Awesome seeing Jimmy back in a race car. I talked to him at Salem this last winter, and I talked to him quite a bit about the whole thing, about him not seeing him race in a couple years. He brought the kids out to try practice in the go-karts. And I talked to him last winter, and he said we'll see a lot of Jimmy this year in the late model, and see a lot of his kids racing go-karts. They're going to come back to racing pretty
well. If I understand right, Jim bought 2 late models.
I haven't seen this. I haven't heard much about the second one.
I heard that. Now, I heard that he bought 2 late models, and I think his son was supposed. How old is his kid now? The oldest one.
I'm not quite sure on that one. He raced 250 cars this last
see,
Sunday,
I was
so I'm
hearing
not
something
sure.
about him practicing in one of those or something. Now, I don't take that as 100%, but again, hearsay. Not here to spread any rumors or start anything, but
we do know what he did get.
We do know what he did get.
He did get a modified. Jim does have a modified.
Well, I know he got a brand new XR1 too.
He went to
anytime
Yakima.
Jim comes out with a race car,
it's good stuff.
It's going to be great stuff. I mean, there's
no doubt about that. Yeah. There is no doubt about it. He always shows up with good equipment and is fast. He's one of those guys like Duty. You hear him before you see him.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
absolutely.
Always has a massive, ungodly amount of horsepower. And that's all we expect from Jim Whistler, you know.
He's going to be out and he's going to put on a show this year.
So working on our regular schedule, our scheduled guest for the High Octane Diecast Hot Pit segment tonight. Again, dinner plans was kind of.
Family comes first.
I absolutely agree that the second one we had on the backup burner is. I'm almost afraid to put him on the air because, oh man, he just let loose, and that's what it's all about in the hot pit. But we'll find out, what's going on here in the next couple of minutes. I want to talk with Jeremy, and we're going to go into we're in the final hour here. Really want to talk about the Hornet race at Willamette Speedway. This was kind of our main topic. We saved, if you noticed that from the earlier part of the show, we saved it we wanted to talk about that here tonight, and we had a bad accident in the Hornet feature with Crystal Flath. Actually left the track in an ambulance. We did hear, we did get confirmation she has left the hospital today. She left the hospital.
She just posted it on Facebook a while ago.
Did see a picture of her upright walking. That is good. Now, we Moxie Media Promotions posted a slow-mo video of that accident. You can go on the Moxie Media page and check it out.
Really good video.
Great video. Again, Dirt Track Princess Productions, Tracy Emery, sent us that and said, hey, if you guys can use this, use it. We talked about it. We put it up. Number one, to end the name-calling, the bashing, the trash talk. And I'm going to give my opinion on this wreck, and I want you guys to give yours, and I want Jeremy to give his, because Jeremy and I kind of discussed this. Oren, you were there in the tower. There was a lot of talk about this wreck, a lot of drama, a lot of controversy. When we posted that, we posted it to simply say, hey, look, here's what happened in slow speed. Take a look. And we've got a ton of views, a ton of comments on the Moxie page. Right. I watched that video, guys. I've watched that video probably more than anybody else, over and over. And we watched it probably 100 times the first night we posted it, sitting there talking about it. What did and didn't happen, or our opinion of what did or didn't happen. I watched that wreck, and I'm going to just say it. I mean, like, there is nothing in that video that I see that is, number one, dirty driving on either driver. Nothing with intent, nothing malicious. I see two very talented championship drivers. Both of them are champions in their own rights at different tracks, racing for the lead with a little bit of contact. with Crystal ended up in the wall at a bad angle. Okay. Some contributing factors in this wreck, my opinion. 2 drivers, like I said, talented, very good drivers in this division, shooting it out for the win on a rough racetrack in front-wheel drive cars. That right there is against you. You know, the track conditions in those cars did not help this situation.
Not at all.
At all.
See how many views we have on that, Corey?
Yes.
Nearly 5,000 views.
And 10,000 people have seen that
Wow.
post.
Wow.
So here's the thing. There's many opinions on this post here that we're looking at right now on Moxie.
Opinions and statements. Just
that go both ways.
Yeah.
Depending on who you are, how you're related to the situation, whether you're just an outside fan.
I'd have to say the general consensus is it was just a racing incident.
You
Good,
are exactly
hard
right.
Racing. Overall, looking what everybody said,
right.
That's the general consensus.
I will say it. That is all that wreck is good, hard racing that ended in a bad situation. There was nobody that was driving dirty. There was nobody that wasn't giving it all.
Just racing hard, yeah. Bottom line.
And unfortunately, in the game we play, that is a possible outcome.
Yep.
We saw not the worst outcome, but we saw a bad one that was created by an exciting precursor.
Right.
If you watch the video that we have on Moxie Media Promotions on the Facebook page, and then you go, and I've replayed this whole race in my head, and I cannot wait until I get my DVD from Tracy of the full race. Mm-hmm. Because what I see, I watched that race. I saw 2 high-quality drivers like you did duking it out for the lead. Mm-hmm. What happened in Turn 4 is an unfortunate incident.
Unfortunate incident is well put.
It is.
That's well put.
It is something that happened. It's something, unfortunately, I train for to react to. And that's what it was, is an unfortunate incident.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about not just that wreck, but I want to talk about everything that happened minutes after that whole situation took place. Okay, and this is why Jeremy is here. Number one, Jeremy, I'm here to compliment you with what you did Saturday night. That situation, Warren and I are announcing it. The wreck happens. You guys are on the scene instantly. And, the Extreme Fire and Rescue. You guys are right there doing your job. Incredible response. Okay.
Jeremy threw the red flag immediately. I mean, that was
on point. I mean, just on his game. He saw it. He recognized it. Bad situation. Red flag. Stop it.
Yep.
Assess the situation. Jeremy makes his way up into the tower. Comes up and says, "Hey, what did you see?" Because we were talking about it. It was a great race.
Yeah, it was.
Fantastic race. Okay. Jeremy comes up and says, "What did you see?" And this is where I got to compliment as a flagman, because there's been times, and Jeremy knows. I mean, Jeremy and I are friends. We're friends. We go back a long ways. But Jeremy knows there's been times I've been critical. He's in a very critical position.
He's easily criticized.
He is,
yeah.
and I'm not going to lie.
He's literally up on a pedestal in front of everyone.
Yeah. Right, and everything that happens on that track is, I won't say his responsibility, but his responsibility.
They expect it.
Right.
They expect him to see everything when he can't possibly do that.
Jeremy knows that I've been critical, and not in a hateful way, but I've been critical of his position. I would not want your job, Jeremy.
No way.
Jeremy knows, like any other racer, and we've had our moment. Jeremy and I did at Salem Speedway when I let him know he was number one. I still think it was a bad call, but no, listen.
Let's not get into that.
Corey, quit telling me he's number one in the studio.
Going back to this deal, Jeremy came up and said, "Hey, guys, what did you see?" And I said, "Jeremy, here's what I saw." And I said, "I saw a racing accident. I didn't see anybody driving dirty. I didn't see any intent, nothing that was malicious. I saw 2 championship drivers duking it out." And Jeremy says, "Okay, thank you." He says, "That's what I saw."
That's cool that you ask your opinion.
Well, but see, that's a flagman trying to get every perspective.
Right,
he knows
right.
we've got the best seat in the house. We're looking down on it. They're coming right at us. He's kind of in the middle, got the fence right there. And, when you're right there, it gets kind of hard.
It is.
So when he came up and got, 2 more sets of eyes, Jeremy, I got to compliment you on that. You are stepped your game up as a flagman this year.
You really have.
And I would say is not just coming out and getting your guys' perspective as well as before we made a decision on that race, I had talked to every single person that works at that speedway to make sure we had everybody's angle, everybody's perspective of what they saw. And that's how we had to determine what we were going to do in that situation. Is I wanted to make sure we had everybody's opinions.
You want
first.
all the evidence.
And all the drivers, of course, asked right away, what happened? What's the call? Who won? And I told them all the exact same thing. We were not going to make that decision right that second. We were going to make them wait.
That was a wise move.
We were going to decide what we all saw on that situation.
Yeah, and I thought you guys did a heck of a job. There had to be a winner. Muse got the win. Because I do think he led the lap prior.
No, he had not led a single lap in the race.
Okay, but it was really
He
close.
was close.
Okay, that's what it was.
It was in thousandths of a second, that previous lap.
Right, yeah. We were talking about that. Now, in a situation like that, a lot of people are going to ask, how did that outcome, how was that made of Muse getting the win? I mean, that's a question that you've had to answer.
Yeah.
And it's a fair question, given that he did. What do you do in a situation like that? How do you determine who actually wins that event when they were? I mean, those guys were literally, those two drivers were side by side, door to door when everything happened.
The lap prior, Tracy was behind Crystal by 0.006 of a second.
0.006. Okay. So in the end, is it because? And I'm trying to clear up this whole situation for everybody because we've seen so much negativity on this, and we want to get the answers for everybody. So the winner was determined because had we gone green, the one car couldn't continue, or
and that's what the decision has to come down to. Is if we would have went green, that one car would have dropped out of that spot. The rules at Willamette have always been the ones that are charged with the yellow are the ones that are considered the cause or involved in.
Okay,
and that is a little gray area. I understand what the involved in aspect of that, but when we always say it, when I say involved in, when I mean involved in, means you had significant contact that involved your car to stop in the wreck. Would be the involved in aspect of that, and then the cause being whatever brings out the red or yellow flag. In that situation, of course, we felt it was a racing accident. And in that case, if it was a racing accident, or just intentional, not intentional contact, side-by-side contact that resulted in one car in the wall and the other car continuing to move straight. We would be talking about a different situation, I think, if the M16 would have hit the wall or spun out. We may be talking about a different situation on the finish there.
Sure.
But because that car continued to move straight, it's a whole different situation in that aspect.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the good part.
So I think
that's the definition. So that getting the definition on that rule, now we have a better understanding of it. Because that was a question that I know you guys and myself got a lot of. I know, Jeremy, you got a lot from everybody. It's so everybody listening can understand what and why. There's your answer. Now going back to the wreck, we've seen, there was a lot of stuff on there I thought about going in and deleting. There was a couple comments that didn't need to be said on that post.
But you're going to have them.
That I cleaned up. Right. You're going to have them.
And that's the thing with social media these days. It's hard to say what people are going to post on there.
That's why we
also have to understand that's just somebody's opinion.
Right. And that's why we put that disclaimer up there. Let's keep it clean. Right. We're not here to criticize it. And there was a couple things I did delete.
Did you?
Because it was just it was unnecessary. It didn't even relate to what was going on. It was stupidity.
Right.
Okay.
So whoever that was, you're stupid.
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, absolutely. That there's just, and we're kind of known here at Moxie, to bring the real deal.
Honesty.
We're not exactly what you would call politically correct. There's people that love that.
Never
about
been
us.
accused of that.
There's a few that don't like that about us. On this wreck, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever your opinion is, if it differs from mine, I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to dislike you. I'm not going to call you names. The fact of the matter is that right there, when we've all been around racing a better part of our lives.
Right.
We've seen this 100 times. Okay.
Right.
Whether it's at this level in Hornets or in the Cup level, this is a bad deal that was simply created by good hard racing.
Absolutely.
Nothing more, nothing less.
And we owe a lot of credit to her coming out of that as well as she did to having on the proper safety gear.
And absolutely.